And welcome everybody. Here we go. Welcome everybody. Let's see, we've got first order of business. Would someone like to move to approve the March 14th meeting minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Why, thank you.
Second.
Who was that seconding? Sorry, I'm writing, I can't see. Mary?
Me,
second.
yes.
Got you. All right. Well, Mari, since you have to probably leave early, do you want to cover your items of interest here? Whatever you've got. I know we've got the Van Dyke facility is one thing. Yeah, just go ahead. Don't let me speak for you.
No, please go by the agenda because I forget. I'm kind of scattered. I don't want to forget anything. One quick thing I will add, start with though, that was not on the agenda. I figured each month I'll give a trash collection cleanup since I'm the one that logs in to see what we've been, tallying on the Clean Swell app, and we're up to 889 pounds as of year to date.
Nice.
So that's pretty impressive for since we're only at April 11th. So we'll see what the Tidy Up Trumbull event adds to that, but
Yeah.
I guess
you say 889 pounds year to date.
yes,
And
someone logged 314 pounds at one clip.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What are they? Hijack a garbage truck or something?
Yeah, was that 381 pounds.
wow, but that's still a lot. I mean, I use it practically every week, but I'm doing 5-10 pounds on a good day. So
Right.
that's
I know.
remarkable. Is Trumbull Sustainable Youth all using it?
They should be, but you know what? Let me double check that because this 381 pounds says let me just double check because some of them might be Save the Sound ones that popped into our list now that I'm looking at the list. Geez. Okay, let me double check that.
No problem.
Scratch that from the notes, guys.
No
I might
problem.
have, yeah. Okay, I'll recheck.
All right.
Maybe some group did do a cleanup though. No. Okay, sorry, Kevin.
No problem. Since we're talking about waste reduction in that section, how are we? I saw you sent another what do you call invite for the tour, Mari. Are we set though? I thought we were set for
We
April.
are. I'm having trouble with that doodle poll. I've never used one, and I was trying to be savvy, and it keeps bumping to some strange time zone, saying it's at 9 p.m.
Yeah, 9 p.m.
I might just delete the doodle poll at this point. Not everybody used it. We have many more participants that didn't use it registered, but it's confirmed for April 28th at 3 p.m. At the Van Dyke Recycling Solutions in Norwalk. Once I get more details about the address and any other details, I will send to everybody that did express interest. If anyone's on today that wanted to attend, just let me know.
I'd love to go, but I've got school Thursday nights, early evening, so too tight.
Sorry, Pam.
How many people do we have so far, Murray? Approximately?
I have about 15 plus from
Really?
various different sustainable groups. We have the recycling coordinator from West Hartford, from Middletown. Waste Free Greenwich is coming, a green school from Norwalk. There are people I'm in another group with that I opened it up to and people they knew. So
cool.
Like-minded people. Excuse me?
Is George going?
I invited him and Jose, and I only heard back from Jose that he was not available. So.
Okay.
If anyone had any other invitees that I missed, please let me know too. I was just.
All right. Do we want to kick around the results of our meeting with Vicki last week? What our next steps are on that? I know we want to meet with George. That's probably our number one priority.
Right. And we had talked about, I think afterward, just a quick text amongst a couple of us, just thinking about how to do that. Since Trumbull schools are closed next week and Vicki was going to speak with George, we kind of thought maybe beginning of May, just reaching out.
Yeah, what was she saying about the budgets stuff and so forth? Waiting for a couple of weeks, I guess. So early May, right?
Mhm. But I guess my question, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but since Mari, you seem to have the most recent working relationship with George, did you want to reach out?
I'm more than happy to. We've been in contact, as Mary knows, so either of us, but yeah, I'll be glad to. I think it was good. Did Kevin, you said you were gonna maybe start a spreadsheet with our topics to go over with him? That would be
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, let me get
Thanks.
working on that. So you'll be our point person. So,
Is that okay with you, Mary? I don't want to take
Yeah.
away from,
all
okay.
right.
Okay. Yeah, and so along those lines, we have the glass poster ready to roll, as well as the information on the glass program that would be the link on the website under that heading. And we're just waiting for final approval on that from George and team, as well as the transfer station webpage updates. He and his team, George and his team are reviewing all of those edits as well. So we should be in really good shape with information to the community on all things waste management.
Great.
So,
Anything else come out of our meeting, next steps or anything else that we want to need to pursue?
Well, I just, nothing that we need to pursue outside of, I think George is really linchpin for a lot of things that we want to do moving forward. But I was encouraged to hear that Vicky was interested in the community garden project. So maybe if we can coordinate to get George or Dimitri into Westport, that would be amazing.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, I also want to see where, as we're going through these things, yeah, community garden, I mean, that may end up being for next year, but get it lined up. I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking timing wise and everything. And obviously there's nothing in the budget and everything, but for most of these, where we feel that we have the need for Rena, so that we don't have to keep going to her constantly, but to say like, here's our top 3 to 5 things that we're looking into. If you happen to, come into some kind of funding or know something's out there, whatever it is, without overlapping on the areas that she's already hitting with some specific groups. But there's like that urban, the one that Pam had, that April had brought up. That was one of the few that went with that type of grant that wasn't for a neighboring town that is compromised or that is an equity, portion to it. So there are things that won't jump on something that, we can't do, that she obviously is open to. So that would be good to just give her our full list as she goes forward.
Yeah, I think if we can get George on board for a community garden, we can then start to put a whole plan together with next steps, including if we wanted to do a fundraising thing in town, we can get that started and then go to Sustainable CT to have the monies matched in time for next spring. But it'll give us enough time to really build up an awareness campaign and make it happen in a really nice, professional, polished way. So I'm hoping that this meeting goes really well.
Right. Sounds good.
We see Amara's popped on.
Oh, good.
Hi,
That's
everybody.
good. Hey. Let's see when we get you back. I'm all frozen. Welcome, Amara. I'm having trouble with my Zoom picture. There we go. There you are. There we go.
you want me to give a quick student update before, in case I have to jump off?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sorry.
Could you do that? And then I forget I thought you had something else on your list too. Maybe it was the farmer's market. Was that you? I can't remember. So whatever you want to hit,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, Mari, before you have to go. So let's
Okay,
go right
real
ahead.
quick, just because we were talking about Rena, I'll just let everybody know, I was going to follow up with her on the Business Resource Center. I think that was on the agenda.
Yep.
So Vicky seemed in favor of us, continuing communication, since that was already started with us. So that, I was just going to mention that. And then the students, we do have the cleanup plan for Tidy Up Trumbull Day, where the students are meeting at the Park and Ride 9 to 12 on Saturday, April 23rd. And the students are also working on a 5-day Cut Your Carbon Challenge. They're going to be working off either the Connecticut Carbon Challenge, I think it's called. I'm not sure exactly what they're working on. Or the Habits of Waste has like a little checklist for people to do, and they were going to try to do a post a day for those 5 days of Earth Week leading up to the cleanup. So we'll see what they put together.
That's great, Mari. Is there, do you have any idea when they're gonna have their plan ready so that we can start to publicize it?
No, they just talked about it this morning. I got a text.
Right. Because Earth Week is what? The week of the 20 something, right?
Is it? That's why I have to look. I always thought it was the break week, 18th to like the 24th, but Earth Day is the 22nd, right? So should
Yeah.
they maybe do
That's
this?
next week.
So yeah, I'll see. Like I said, they're probably going to work off an already created challenge and just kind of promote what's already, instead of reinventing the wheel. There seem to be some good resources out there, but I thought that would be good. Since we have a strong social media contact in the Trumbull Sustainable Youth Group, so. Yeah, and then I'm going to get that information over to Lara at the TV station. So
Super.
that's all I think.
So what's on the Business Resource Center? Could you refresh my memory on that?
So basically on that webpage, under the town's, under economic development, there's a business resource center, and it was outdated. So Rena had asked our team, and I met with her in regards to that, to updating it.
Got it.
With some of the energy efficiency stuff, and we tried to add in some, you know, reducing single-use plastic type resources for businesses as well. So.
All right, so you're basically updating the page.
Yes, per her
website?
request. So.
Okay.
I sent her a draft for review, and I thought I circulated it to the team back in the day. I know Mary and Pam might have seen it, right? The draft. If anybody wants to look at the draft as well, let me know. I can circulate it to the group.
Okay. Super. All right. That's everything from that you've got on your list there,
so.
Mari?
I think so. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. And now, Amara, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. So I understand you're interested in creating a seed library at the Trumbull Library.
Yeah, there's a lot of public libraries in Fairfield County that already have these established in their buildings that the community can come and use. So it feels like in terms of Trumbull offering more community resources, that would, you know, help people want to take, I don't know, steps to be part of a sustainable community. It would be easy if you could just come to the library and grab seeds. It'd be labeled, ready to start. You don't have to go out and research. Everything's already here, and plus we're the community center that we're trying to be. It would just make a lot of sense. So it's just getting a small cabinet, getting seeds going, and then starting to promote it. But I spoke with Mary the other day, and what we could do once we have a seed library is start to do programming around it. So at the end of summer, what do you do with all your compost materials? You know, how do you start a compost, and just build different sort of baby steps for people into changing their habits and practices around sustainability, and also making the landscape more friendly. We can focus the seed library on having just pollinator pathway plants or native plants, and not offering the typical variety that you would find at a garden center.
Great. Well, that sounds very good. Do we have anybody, do you have anybody lined up to help prepare whatever needs to get done to make this all happen?
Well, there's not actually that much prep that's required. It's mostly sourcing an older style cabinet that has small drawers that could just take a little bit of legwork. And then from there, you actually would take your individual seed packets and spread them out more. So you're not getting like 100 seeds in one, but you have to spend a little bit of time counting them out and repackaging them, labeling them for people, which is just some staff time here, or volunteers if there's someone interested in doing it, and then just promoting it to the town to let them know that we have this. And then again, some programming that you could do around that is how to save seeds so that we can encourage community to bring seeds in to keep the library full.
Amara, are you in touch with, I know that the Long Hill Garden Club is having their plant sale on library grounds soon, but are you in touch with them or the Nichols Garden Club members at all to help with
I am not. I still feel like I'm learning about the community because I only started again right when COVID started. So it's just getting my feet wet, meeting everybody now and finding out who I need to contact and who, you know, is the best person.
Well, I think this is a wonderful endeavor, and I love the idea of once you get this established, there's ways to tell your story, in front with plants and a pollinator pathway sign, and you can just have some like a QR code that directs people to maybe a spot on the website that talks about what you're doing there. Part of our wish list, which we were talking about prior, was to reinvigorate our community garden at Nichols and also have kind of a seed founders plot there for seeds for people. So I think that if we can get that going too, we could really partner in a really robust way. But I'd love to help you however I can. Typically, I'm a gardener and I don't know the answer to this. Where do people get seeds for a seed library? Is it just local people giving their own, or?
Typically, yeah, the libraries that I've been in the past will purchase seeds to get started, or if there's not enough of one type of seed, you just have a little bit in your budget. Sometimes you can work that under programming. It's just a supply that you have because the program related to like how to compost or how to save seeds, you need something to show people. And then from there, some libraries, it takes a bit obviously to encourage people to save seeds. It's just changing people's habits slowly over time to get that happening. But I think the more local organizations in town we have talking about it and working to make it happen, the more successful we'll be right off the bat.
Do you put them into little envelopes and label them in a simple way? Is that what you do? It's interesting. I was on a webinar a few weeks ago, and one of the speakers was the Hudson Seed Company, and this is not what I'm expecting you to do, but they have artists design their seed packets for them. So then the packet itself becomes collectible in a way, and the art is really pretty, but that would be an interesting way to get students involved maybe, or kids involved to design the packets at some point in the program.
Yeah, as long as you have the right printer that you can feed the small envelope into, you could just buy blank envelopes and print it in-house.
Or label. Yeah,
that too, yeah. Yeah, anything to get more people involved in talking about it. I think that, again, the better it will be.
Well, that sounds good. Now who?
Sorry, Kevin, can I just add something to that?
Oh, there you are. Yes, now that you're here. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I had extra help. So I've learned about this through my permaculture class that I took out of Australia, but the Garden Swap Facebook group too in Trumbull, we did a lot of seed swapping, and so there's a lot of great YouTube videos out there that shows people how to start saving their own seeds. And it's definitely things that people in the town are interested to do to kind of save money on getting the lawn that they want. So I think this is a great thing.
So it looks like we're gonna want to coordinate with Amara here to see if we can help her and maybe connect her to other groups like the garden clubs and so forth. Anybody have any thoughts on that, on next steps maybe?
Yeah, I think one more idea that it kind of going on what April mentioned is, Amara, if you have a QR code that would link to a YouTube video for a specific plant. So you'd have a label, however you did it, labeling what plant the seeds are for, put a QR code if they need to know how to plant it.
I guess the only thing there, because we're always thinking just promoting within the library, is if like a student could make the video or a local organization could make the video. So we're not just linking to somebody else's video that's not part of Trumbull. If we could make that happen somewhere along the way, then linking to a QR code would be awesome. But I would just be hesitant to link to just any random video.
Yeah.
I know Marielle LeMay was talking about, having one of these presentations when we were looking at a founder's garden at the community garden. So that might be, and we're getting our master gardener soon through Pam. But that, it might be interesting to be, because I said I know Stratford does it and they encourage donations. And then also the same thing of clearly labeling, getting your own seeds, bringing them in, label, everything like that. So it definitely is a community effort, but it would be fun if our group was able to, I think, with the knowledge that some of these people possess in this, because I would have no idea how to do any of this. And I think it really is interesting. And as you said, then it leads into further down the road. It can be into the composting and, you know, outreach into other groups. And I love the label idea, Pam. I think that's a fun idea.
Yeah, and if like there's high school kids that like making videos and there's someone that can sort of walk them through how to do it and then they make the video themselves, that's always a really interesting process. But we could even work it so like all summer long, what we're doing is promoting the seed library in terms of help us start it, help us generate it by bringing seeds in so that it's really a community built effort.
Well, I'd be happy to help you put a plan together with like a calendar, how to start. And so anytime you want, as Mary mentioned, I'm kind of trying to get my certification as a master gardener this summer. But in the meantime, I'm also employed part-time by the Pollinator Pathway group here in the Northeast. And I can tell you that it's really catching on. It's unbelievable how much more out there it is and how many communities are getting behind this. There was a community actually in New York wrote and said they were doing a contest where they were going to be having people put pollinator pathway gardens in their front yards, and they were going to award people a sign for the top 12 gardens or whatever it was. But I think that there are a lot of fun ways you can engage the community to do that, get involved, make it more of a, like, yes, at the library, this is your center for it, but everybody in their yards can also participate and share pictures. And
yeah, you could just make a hashtag for like Trumbull pollinator pathway or something like that. And that way, whenever somebody has a success, they can share it and we can all see how that's working. Because I think, yeah, when you have a reason to participate, sort of like a gamification of something, people are just more motivated right away to show what they're doing.
Sounds good. Too bad Mary Ellen's not here because she'd be very excited to hear all about it. But it is her birthday, so she's playing hooky. All right.
So I guess, sorry, next steps would just be, I'm going to follow up with Pam and we can sort of work on a calendar for that. And once we have a calendar established, we can share it with the larger group about how we're going to move forward to promote and build the Trumbull Seed Library.
yeah, and I think, you know, we should CC Mary Ellen LeMay on it because I'm sure she'd be interested and into it. I just don't, you know, because I don't want to speak for her, but she's not here today. But I think she'd at least like to, she'd be able to give us some good advice around it.
Yep, I can send then a joint email to both of you with the idea. And then if if Mary has time and is interested, then we can all work towards creating that calendar.
Yeah, let's do it. Great. Thank you.
Awesome.
all right. Thanks, Amara. Appreciate
Yeah,
you
thanks for your
coming
time
by.
today. I'm actually going to jump off and just go back to
No problem.
work here.
Yep, no problem. Thanks again. We'll see ya.
Thanks.
All right. Is Mari still here or did she go? There's Mari. Hey, Mari. What was the
Still here.
question I wanted to ask you? Hold on, let me get back to my minutes here. Here we go. All right. So the next item I have on my agenda is, or one of the next ones, Earth Day, Earth Week. What we're planning for that? We're lining up. Anything?
Well, I know Mari mentioned the 5-day cut your carbon challenge, and I think that's terrific. And as you all will remember, we did something a little bit more, we were involved last year. So I just wanted to throw it out there that we're not going to be doing anything like that this year because frankly, I don't have the time to do it, but I think just wanted to put it out there that we're not doing anything ourselves for Earth Week next week, right?
Yeah, there's a lot going on between Tidy Up Trumbull, the library, the nature center, a few other things that are going on, I guess. So that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
We can certainly try to share, you know, surrounding areas, activities. I think I saw maybe Wilton Go Green had something going on. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but we can certainly share local things on our social media if we think it could be valuable to people, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this may or may not be appropriate, and I don't know how Mel would feel about it, but I did a webinar for Mel on Friday, and it was recorded. So it's possible that she wouldn't mind if we shared the recording for people who wanted to talk about doing native plants in their yard. But
Be great.
Very good.
I'll ask her what she thinks of that idea.
All right.
I think it was outstanding. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, thank you. But Jen is my biggest fan.
That sounds good. April, now that you're here, is there any updates on school initiatives that we should be?
So the
Aware
Trex
of?
challenge, is ending on the 15th for the schools that are participating, such Trumbull High, Hillcrest, Middlebrook, possibly Madison as well. So we'll be putting in the final tallies for that. They're going to pull the winner on Earth Day itself to see. There's always the consolation prizes, which we'll always get. I don't know. Trumbull High has the best shot of winning for their division. So that's awesome. We just keep that momentum going for the town. We haven't heard back from Long Hill in regards to their maintenance crew to do any pollinator pathways at either Middlebrook or Hillcrest. So that's a little bit of a bummer. And see if I can get anybody to respond. And the big challenge, the big recycling is going across multiple schools at this point, including the high school. So we have some good things happening. It's just not across all the schools as we would have hoped. But it's starting to pick up in small pieces. So hopefully we just keep that momentum going and then have some new things, including the food rescue, in place, for the fall. But I think we'll have a couple schools on board for the food rescue come June. So for that final pickup in June. Yeah, it is.
How's that food rescue? How's that going to work?
It's going to work as in, we have to get approval, I think, from the principal. So like Hillcrest said, okay, let me know what's entailed. So I have to reach out to food services and see how the head food service person would feel about it. And then it's just asking the staff at the particular buildings to anything that would expire over the break, if we could take that and box that up and have someone pick it up and drop it off to like the Trumbull food shelter.
Is there like going to be like a dedicated refrigerator or something for keeping stuff
No.
in the meantime?
Nope.
No, nothing.
Nope.
Okay.
If it
gotta move
starts,
fast.
it's probably gonna be the one shot right before the breaks to get that food out and going, not a weekly thing at this time. We just don't have the staff or the manpower, but at least if we could get the rescue happening before the big breaks, that's at least, a step in the right direction.
Do they get
Of
to
course.
count that? It's a separate question, not on the good side of it, but do they get to count that as a donation, a charitable donation? I don't know if the town is able to do that or not. The Board of Ed.
I don't know.
I mean, that might be more incentive is all I'm trying to say, is to, if they see that it's also helpful, on their end as well.
Oh, that thought didn't even cross my mind. It just seems like a waste to throw out something that could be used by somebody else for the
I
betterment
agree.
of whatever. So
I agree. I'm just thinking the not having staff, but if they have an incentive to say, hey, and it also will benefit, the school, just, dimes, unfortunately.
I don't think they benefit like tax wise for charitable donations though. If it's a Board of Ed, it's not a taxable entity, correct?
That's what I mean. I don't know. That's what I wasn't
Yeah,
sure
I
if
don't
that's
think
how
so.
that works.
I wouldn't think they would be eligible for taxable donations, but
Nope.
reductions rather. I don't know though. It's a good question. But yeah, just to fill everybody in if they're not as familiar, we spoke with Food Rescue and there's different tiers. I don't remember if we talked about it last month, but April and I have approached the few schools with who we have rapport to do pilot programs where it would be a one-time rescue, where Food Rescue provides their own volunteers to just come pick up the food on a one-time basis before a break. There's lots more elaborate rescuing type options, but we figured we would kind of start very slowly. So I don't remember if we covered that, so sorry.
Do you know where that's going to go? Food rescue, is it going to go to Trumbull Food Pantry or is it going to go
Yes.
to? Is it? Okay.
Yes.
yeah, ours
like-
particularly would probably go to Trumbull Food Rescue because it's the closest drop-off place, and it would go, so it's like helping the town.
Right. Makes
And
sense.
our students or local residents could sign up to be rescuers if they want. We can promote that option. So it's kind of a multi-tiered effort, which would be nice.
Yeah. Did you say there was some interest in some of the kids from TSY in that, or some?
I'm
the other
sure there
kids?
would be. Yeah, they
Yeah.
obviously need rides, the ones that don't drive, but yes,
Right.
definitely.
That's cool. That sounds good. All right. Let's see, what else do I have? All right, I have the community survey on the list. I think that's been going out in a number of different ways now, including on community television, right? Anybody?
Muted.
Yeah,
The
that's-
nice lady from Community TV, Trumbull Community TV has it up on the television already.
Nice.
I reshared it on all social today, so next door, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So it's out there in social media, and it is a spotlight on the Trumbull website front page.
And I just got an email from Sarah. She's had 337 participants so far, which is probably exceeds what we thought we would get.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. The results would be interesting.
Right.
Hopefully there'll be some long bars in the areas we want to proceed with.
Yeah.
In case
let's
the
hope.
town needs encouraging.
Right.
Fingers crossed.
All right. I also have on my list here farmers market. I guess we were talking about a few things there. Who wants to follow up on that? No takers for farmers market? Or,
Here comes Pam.
Hold on,
oh,
sorry,
there we
I
go.
had to feed the cat. He's screaming at me. So I want to put the farmer's market on everyone's radar if it's not already there. I have not spoken to anyone at the farmer's market. I don't even know if it's still Patrick. But I think it would be good if we were to ask for a table a couple of times this summer, especially if we have something for the tree replacement plan to talk about, if that's going to happen. But I'm not quite sure what my summer schedule is going to look like on Thursdays with school, because school is Thursdays for me now. So I just wanted to see, would we have people who would be willing to work the tables once in a while if we signed up for like 3 different days or something like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Thursdays are often not good for me either, but I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Well, it's possible that, if we get the trees program in place, that maybe someone on the Conservation Commission would sign up to help too.
Right.
But I know we're going to have to commit soon to, if we're going to want to participate, so.
Right. Sounds good.
Do we want to
Just-
circulate a spreadsheet with lists, dates or something? I had a couple that might work, not many, but
Well, let me talk to them first and see what they're thinking.
yeah, okay.
I wrote to them and said, please contact us at this email address, and then I didn't hear from them. So I'll try to reach them through, I think they were communicating with us through Facebook last year. Okay.
Thank you. And then my next item I have is the QR code update. We just, Richard just mentioned we got, was it 337
Yeah.
replies on the survey for that one, so that's good. And how's everything else going, Richard, as far as the parks? And I'm also interested in the over at the transfer station.
Yeah, what's been holding us up is having an acceptable town email, and Bill's been working hard. And the bottom line is we can't use a .gov, because by forwarding email from .gov to an outside email, it opens up a security hole,
Oh,
which is
shoot.
not worth going. So what I've done some emails, I haven't heard anything back. I've got to follow up, but I'd like to use our Trumbull QR at Gmail email for the QR sign. So the purpose of that is simply, if somebody has a question or the QR isn't working, they have a way to let us know. So that's the only purpose of the email. And Bill, I'm not sure if you heard anything from, powers that be about using a not.gov.
I'm not involved in any of that.
Yeah. I mean, when we went to Parks Commission, they wanted us to use a .gov, and I've emailed, Kevin over there. I haven't heard back yet, so I've got to follow up, probably a phone call or even a visit to proceed. So basically, we've divided the QR beta into phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 are the QRs for the survey signs. We have those at Beach, Great Oak, Indian Ledge, Island Brook, Old Mine, Aquanic Trail, and 5 places, Unity Park, and then inside at the main both libraries, Senior Center, Town Hall, including somewhere near the Vicky's area. And also I went to Stop and Shop, and I talked to the town manager, who, by the way, is also the store sustainability director. I don't know if you guys have talked to him. His name is Parth, P-A-R-T-H-E. And so he actually had one sign left, and he said, I'm going to copy these, put them on the public bulletin board and inside, the public or the employee areas as well. And so what I did was I replaced 3 of the outdoor signs with dynamic QRs. So I just simply printed something, and I've had clear tape taped over it. And after the heavy rain, I checked, they're still intact. But all of the indoor signs are a dynamic QR. Now, all that dynamic does, it gives you number of clicks, and they can be editable. So if the URL were to change, you simply go up in the editor and redirect it to a new URL. Initially, because those aren't free, my thought was, don't worry about that now. But the more I thought about it, I said, let's see if we can do that. So there's a 14-day free trial. So we couldn't implement it before the survey, or they would have died out before the survey was done. So as of right now, we've had 14 non-Richard scans. And that's over 3 days for 3 outdoor signs and 4 days for the internal signs. So I don't know if 14 is a good or bad number, but it is what it is. So what I'm going to propose for phase 2, which is what we initially talked mainly to Parks about, is to try and get $200 so we can use dynamic QRs. I think for a beta test, that would really give us an idea whether anybody's scanning, the QR signs outside, or if 1 million people are. So it'll give us an idea of, how many people, may actually be using the signs. And I checking around on the dynamic providers, and they all want 1 year up front. It's cheap monthly, but it's about $200 for a practical number of QR signs for us. So I don't know if Mary, if you have any thoughts on where we get $200. And I was actually willing to pay like half of that myself if I could find the balance of it. Therefore, we'd have a year of paid QR signs and so on. And Bill had mentioned for the 23 through 24 fiscal year, he was going to put in a budget for that, but that won't help us for this year right now.
So we need $200 to get these dynamic QR codes. Is that what you're saying, basically?
Yeah. Right now it's a free trial. It'll end about the time that the survey ends, so we're good to go for that. But we have to resolve primarily the email issue. We get permission to use the Trumbull,
Right.
or we just don't put an email up there, which I think it might be a mistake, because then we couldn't. If there's an error, we wouldn't be able to hear about it.
Right.
So is the point, I'm sorry, the point of the
Dynamic?
thank you, I had static in my head, of the dynamic is really just so the town can see how many people are clicking, or
Yeah.
do we just want to provide this anyway. And if one person gets some information off it, great. And if 1,000, even better. I mean, is there real rationale that we have to have that, that we have to offer that service? And then for email, again, I think if we can't easily figure it out, and I know with the town emails, there's always going to be an issue with, you know, compromising and security issues. So it seems like if we're putting it in the parks, we just put the you know, email for the Parks Department or the town department, you know what I'm saying? So we don't have to worry about trying to get another email created or sending to another one that isn't secure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and
just
I don't
my
know that's
thoughts.
really much of an issue, you know, because all it is somebody emailing us. And you know, I mean, the worst scenario would be, and we already have, I mean, the email is already set up on Gmail, so it's working. The worst case would be if the Gmail account got hacked and then they would email to all of the people who sent an email, you know, from the QR sign. So that's really the risk. But we're not capturing information. They're not filling anything out. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a IT security expert, but I think the risk is relatively low. But I need to sell that to the powers that be. But the alternative would be, you know, to use the parks. The problem is, will we get 0 or 100 emails, somewhere in between? But I wanted to be, if it went to our dedicated email, we would know it was from the QR sign. But if Parks gets 1 million emails a day, it could get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I just know them not being a fan of not having a dedicated, a .gov. They weren't very high on that. And I mean, frankly, I don't, if it had something to do with the park being closed or the pools being closed, you would get 1 million. If it's just, this is a map, or I personally, I don't see it as being a big generator of emails, you know, going into Parks and Rec or wherever it's going to be. But anyway, I was just thinking just $200 is really nothing. But if we really don't need to have it dynamic, because I guess I would figure out, does the town really want Parks and Rec or whoever this is going through? Do they really want it to be dynamic? Do they care about the number of hits, or they're just happy to have it out there supported? And if anyone benefits, they benefit. So you might want to start that route first and then see where it pans out.
Yeah, I think my perspective, it's more of an interest for us, you know, since it's theoretically a beta test. And so it might help us if we got a lot of hits. That would be a positive thing. If we got 0, that'd be negative, but it's still data that indicates, you know, does the town want to go forward with this if it's being used? Now, when I've met people out hiking, I've asked a few, and they're generally, you know, verbally, they have an interest in it. But right now the email is we need to resolve that, you know, one way or another. Once we've resolved that and decided, you know, let's say we didn't go with a dynamic, you know, John could have signs printed, you know, within, I can't speak for him, but just a matter of days. And then we pop them up, and, you know, that wasn't a big deal at all to put the signs up. But that's what the holdup has been. That's why the phase 1 and phase 2 now. Now, right now, the signs that are out there, those do have the Gmail address on there, but those are very temporary, so probably low risk. Now, Mary, now for you, being that you have your .gov email, how do you log in? You don't have one? Okay.
No,
It no
oh,
longer
thanks, Bill.
works. It's the same problem that
Gotcha.
we're
Okay.
having with yours.
Gotcha.
Yeah, everything's now going to the council clerk, and then they get forwarded to us separately. So that's happening for each of the departments now. So, you know, so it is, so I'm saying, I think this is, to me, this is just a nice service that we're able to offer. And as we go forward, you know, some of the fun areas like Rails to Trails, there's a lot of unique spots, you know, like we're saying, the cow crossing, and the woman that was the witch, and the, you know, There's various things out
Oh,
there,
yeah.
printing company. So a lot of fun little things along the way that it might be, as we're going forward, and have the ability to put signage there just of interest. But, as I said, to me, I don't want to say overthink it, but I just think it's a nice thing to have regardless of whether we have 1,000 or 1 hits. And I don't think it's going to change anything if we have a lot of people hitting it, other than us to say, hey, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I think there's no reason not to promote it and support it from our group, just as the surveys out there, as we start adding this in to say, hey, we have these codes out there, click on them. Certainly people can send to us any feedback if they have it as well. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, once the email issue is resolved, either we don't use an email or we use some internal email with somebody who's willing to forward things to us. Then, and we can't get $200, then I have no problems using the static ones. I mean, that's, it's a project. When you start doing something, you think more about it and you get other ideas, and, it's sort of like a cool thing. It's a metric that may or may not be useful, but you don't know until you try. But what I'd like to do going forward, I mean, I think the QRs, besides outside, really has a lot of potential informational use. If for anything that we've talked about, I'm envisioning even engineering department, building department. You could have, your brochures, your handouts and forms. You also have a QR code that would take you to that or provide more information. So the town could print less paper if they have a QR code that links it. I mean, everybody's using these things, have been around for 20 or more years, but we've seen them on TV commercials now. It's really getting to be, widely used. So I think, for conservation, I'm envisioning if there's a spot where there was a best practice or a not best practice erosion and attorneys didn't care, we could put a QR to educate people on what to do and what not to do. Or at the community garden, if we had a nice, say at Pam's garden, have a QR code there if people were to walk in there and they could scan and learn more about the plants. So I think this has a wider scope than just, trail maps and history. But, going forward, I do want to meet with the Historical Society and, other town groups. So my thought were, 2 or 3 of us would sort of be the meeting type people that would go forward with this, separate from this phase 2, just to keep working with other town groups. Historical, they have mentioned interest in having these on some of the town artifacts, because these can link to videos, anything that can be on a website, they can link to.
So Richard, for your phase 2 on this project, are you able to move forward with this without having those dynamic QR codes?
I mean, literally, we have the static QR codes already generated, and literally a QR monkey, that's my favorite that I've tried. And literally you have a URL, which you copy off a website, paste it. If that's all you want, you generate the QR, and in 30 seconds, you got a QR code. With an image, you take that and pop it into wherever your sign language is, and you're done. It's really a simple thing.
If you're at, say, a town park, the parks, they want that, whatever that link to be, linked to the town something, right?
Yeah.
So are you good with that, or is there still the issue of the .gov email address, or is that not an issue?
Well, we can, the .gov, the email has nothing to do with the QR itself. It's just to provide, it's a Trumbull help desk type of a concept.
And is that only for the dynamic QRs?
No, it's for anything.
For any QR.
Basically, here's our sign. Oops, it's not working, or they hate it or they love it, and they have a way to communicate to us, because the QR, they have no way of communicating unless, a QR can take you to a web page with multiple links.
Yeah, they could always make a comment somewhere. If they're going to town website, they can always make a comment. So I wouldn't worry about that.
I agree with Mary. I think that my experience in using QR codes around towns where there are historical sites or whatever, the way you're doing it now is absolutely perfect. I don't think mean, especially given we have no money. So to
Right.
spend $200 on something that we don't need just yet is probably not the right way to go. I think as you fully develop more QR sites and get the Historical Society involved, I think it's nice if you're walking along a trail and you see a ruin and there's a QR code there, you can scan it and say, oh, this used to be a well at Parlor Rock. I think that that's kind of the vision that I initially thought you had for this. So I don't know that we need to go, at this point anyway, farther into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I think it's, as long as you have as long as the QR code links to something that the town approves of, then
Yeah, well, that's what
we're good, right?
I kind of want to wait this meeting to see what you all thought about that. So we'll go with a static.
Yeah,
The price is right.
Yeah.
And then as far as the email, I mean, there is no email. We can do that. We can put those out. I mean, I don't have the outside signs from John. If I had them, I could put them out, in 1 hour. But it's just a matter of doing that for this. We have a lot of, several of the sites, we already have websites. There's a couple that I'd like to put a better trail map up at Old Mine. So if we don't do that, we already have a link. There is some content that's lacking on a website, on a town website. But we can certainly deploy several of these, like right now. So anybody thoughts that we just leave the email off, and if it doesn't work, they can,
they can complain a different way.
yeah. So we'll leave the email off then.
Yeah, that sounds
then-
easiest.
Yeah, then for phase 3 or whatever the next step would be, then we can worry about the static and the email thing. I was hoping the email would be a simple thing, but it's not solvable. In a way, I haven't gotten one email yet. Let me see. Oh wait, I've got 2. My inbox. Let's see. From Biddy, which is a QR thing, and then just basically 2 QR companies. So I have no feedback on any. So we'll go no emails.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll modify the sign slightly to just simply eliminate the email. And then for the websites we already have, I'll check those. And then if we have a good website and it's still working, then I'll ask John if he'll print these signs up and we'll put them out. I mean, have you guys seen his outside signs, the banner type signs at all anywhere?
You mean his banner? What do you mean banner type?
Well, those are the ones that we have on the Rails Trail, Old Mine, and the other outside locations. They're the flexible, waterproof material, which you thumbtack up or tie strip to something or nail to. So they're on kiosks and so on and so forth.
Yeah, he's a good. Well, he
It
did.
sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds good. So I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so then let's see, was that, so would there be another person too that would want to, be with me, the official, meet and greet? Next up would be historical. Yeah, I want to set that up, once I want to resolve this other stuff first, the QR static, then the email. So now we've resolved that. And then we can go with historical. So I don't want those 2 deal breaker things to be and still be the way, but they're not now.
Okay.
Hey, Richard, isn't there a QR subcommittee that's doing all this with you?
We do have that, yeah.
Oh,
Sarah,
okay.
Right.
Okay.
Sarah and
Lucy needs
John.
a group, and Mary's
Okay,
one of them.
I just thought that would eliminate all of us from being in the decision-making process of every step of the project,
Yeah.
moving forward.
I
Just
just
for the
thought if
sake of our
anybody-
time during the meeting, we could kind of summarize where we are, and then you guys could work on that offline.
Yeah, I just wanted to offer it out there. If
Oh,
anybody
okay,
else wanted
thank you.
to, and I mean, it's a very, very informal group. I mean, it's about as unofficial as you could get.
Right. Now, as long as they get it done, that's what matters.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thanks, Richard. Appreciate it. I have 2 last items on my agenda here. The fundraiser, the 501c3 issue for fundraising. I tried again to contact somebody at United Way, because that's the only group I know of that acts as a fiduciary. She was gonna try to walk me through it, but I never did get in touch with her, so I'm nowhere. I'm basically gone nowhere with it. TNAC, the Nature Center, we've got more on our hands, on our plate than we know what to do with at this point. Let alone trying to figure out how to be a fiduciary. I mean, it's a whole thing. And I guess, Janet, I think you had said at one point you thought you had somebody lined up to do that, and then they realized that they couldn't do it, right? So there's
No,
quite a bit involved.
That's not quite right. What I found out was Sustainable Connecticut has never yet received a grant from the New York Community Trust. And I got the paperwork that needs to be completed. It usually is a process of about 3 weeks. But I haven't contacted my person at Sustainable Connecticut about it until I had a good reason to tell him it's time to maybe get this in place.
Right.
But
And we don't, and we, what's that?
I have all the info that they would need. I can't imagine why they wouldn't want to, be a conduit for funds with the New York Community Trust, which is a huge organization.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, I think we just need to figure out what it is that we would, what project are we gonna need funding for? We were talking about the tree replacement plan, but then there was, I guess, funding became available for that. The community garden is still, in my mind, not settled exactly how that's gonna happen. There's not any written plans on how much money it's gonna cost, who's gonna do it, who's gonna maintain it. I mean, I think all that stuff would be necessary to be able to get funds for somebody. Somebody's going to want to see whatever plans we have. And so I'm not quite sure where we stand with that.
Well, the tree replacement plan, we are getting some funding.
Right.
If it goes through. I don't know. When does that get voted on, Mary? Do you know?
Mel went the other night for the subcommittee. I'd have to look. I think it's May, hold on, May 2nd or
May
May
is
9th.
But $12,000 isn't a lot of money.
No,
It's
that's gonna
great.
go.
It's great, but it's not a lot to do like a really like years long kind of thing. So I think that we certainly could think about raising money for that, more monies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because that also, when Mel was talking about the gator bags and things like that, her price definitely was a lot lower than the town had quoted for purchasing trees, but it's still, with the numbers that have come down, it is a little bit of a drop in the bucket there. So, and I don't know how much support we'll have from the town side, because this wasn't put into the Parks and Rec budget for any assistance on their end. So knowing how busy they are, it might be, the more funds that we have that don't have to be spent even in one calendar year, the better. So if it doesn't have to be, because we have $50,000, we don't have to spend 50, that type of a thing. Not that we have it, but so I don't know, does yours have to be a match at all, Janet, or supplement?
It from what I understand, from my source, I just give the money. That's the end of it.
Okay.
But Sustainable Connecticut wants either a 35 to 50% match. So they would want some crowdfunding, and that's negotiable with them. Do they want us to 50% match or 35%?
So you need to, basically you need to go through, first find the 501c3 to channel it through, and then you're going to go to Sustainable and try to get a match of 35 to 50, hopefully 50, and then go back to whatever source that it's going to end up going into.
I mean, it's not me that is approaching Sustainable. That has to be from this task force or from Sustainable.
I meant your funding. I meant your funding.
My funding, I just tell them, give them X amount of money. Once Sustainable Connecticut has completed their paperwork so that they're in a position to receive money from this funding source. And that's, pushing papers around. And I'm sure Abe would be willing to do that if I give him a reason saying, look, I want, we want to channel some money to you, or I want to, and all you need to do is fill out the paperwork. I would do that now if you tell me to go ahead and talk to him if we're thinking down the road that this is a possibility. Or I can even just ask him, we don't know yet. I'm not sure yet if this is going to be a possibility, but would you be willing to set it up so that we're ready to go if, if Sustainable Trumbull decides down the road that, that we're organized enough to be able to receive that money for whatever project we identify. So I can do that too. I can say, Abe, what do you think?
That sounds good to me. I feel like we've been like waiting and waiting for your money. It shouldn't be that hard to say, yes, let's take it and let's go with it. Obviously, a plan needs to be, definitely prepared. And I know that Mel is gonna, obviously come up with how many trees can, right place, right tree, how many, where the locations, the input. So we have to develop that, but it would be great to know if there's another source coming in to supplement that. So I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I feel like if we can get as close as ready to go as possible, every other town's taking advantage of the sustainable CT funds, except for us. Not every, but you know what I mean? It just feels like it's there and we're just kind of letting it go constantly.
Okay, so I'd be happy to talk to him. He's a great guy. So, and if I need Kevin, I'll be in touch with you, Kevin. Okay, if he wants to hear from you as well, is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Great.
So Janet, what's the New York? What was the name of the
It's
organization?
New York Community Trust.
Community Trust, and they're a 501c3, are they?
I'm not sure. I imagine they are
Okay.
because they receive, millions of dollars and they disperse it. I'm not really sure how that's categorized, but
I'll look them up. I'm sure I can find them online. So.
right. Yeah.
All right. All right. So we have to. I guess this is the issue still hanging out there, though, that we need a 501c3 to sort of oversee the whole thing, to be the central entity in this thing. I don't know.
It's the only way that I can give you money. That's for sure. I can't give it any other way. So I can.
But if you give it to the community trust.
No, the community trust has it. They've
Oh,
got.
the community trust has it. Okay, and it has to go to a 501c3.
And I tell them what to do with it, and they'll send it only to 501c3s.
Gotcha. All right.
Can I
Well,
ask
then we,
this? I'm sorry to ask this question again, but I'm older and I'm not retaining as much as I used to. Why wouldn't we, as Sustainable Trumbull, become a 501c3 ourselves? I know other sustainable towns do it. Is it just too complicated to handle? Is there a reason why we shouldn't try?
It probably costs a couple $100 to get the paperwork filled out with the state to become a 501c3, but I think it would demand more of our time potentially.
Well,
I think you
it
need
sounds
a
like
whole
it's worthwhile
board.
though, right?
yeah, you need a board. I mean, it could be us. I mean, we could be the board essentially. I'm not sure how if we dissolve the town councils. I don't think we would do that. I don't know how that would work because we're established by the town.
Mhm.
So we would have it would be a weird thing, just like the nature center. They have a nature commission, but then we also have the patrons of TNAC, which is the 501c3, and then everybody gets confused about who does what. I think probably the same thing would happen here.
Right.
Yeah, Janet, you might have said this, but and I'm sorry, I'm going to pull Pam's excuse. It's my old brain. But we can't funnel this through Sustainable Connecticut themselves as they're a 501c3?
Yeah, we absolutely can. They are, from what I've been able to determine, they are the most straightforward way for me to give you money. However,
Okay.
they are not yet registered to receive money. They have not been vetted yet by the New York Community Trust. They haven't received any money.
Got it.
All of the millions of people who give money to the New York Community Trust to disperse. So they have to get set up, and I have the forms that I can forward to Abe if he's willing to, fill them out and do whatever he has to do. And I was told usually this takes 3 weeks for them to process this. I mean, if I pick an organization that I want to support and they have never received money yet from the New York Community Trust, they all go through this vetting process and they fill out the papers, and then the Community Trust says, yes, you're kosher, you're good to go, you're a valid 501c3, here's the money. That's all.
So they'd have to vet any organization. So if we did go through TNAC, they would have the same process. So why don't we can't we just go that route as it's the easiest? Because it's basically going through them to us and, I would think, right?
If it's
we do that?
possible to do it that way, it would be great. Now I'm remembering, I think that I brought it up because Sustainable Cheshire is a 501c3. And they were doing some sort of an event in town that was really robust. And I think I sent it around to everybody. So I think that's where I got the idea that we could possibly do it. And I think I was supposed to call somebody there.
Yeah, it's curious. I mean, Sustainable CT would be the same, they would be the 501c3 and the matching and provide
Well,
matching?
They
funds?
require the matching. In other words,
Oh, they
before,
require matching, okay.
yeah.
But
yeah.
don't they also provide some matching
I
of their
believe
own?
they do. Yeah, that's the double benefit of it. But
Right.
it does require that, Sustainable Trumbull would have to, do some crowdsourcing.
Yeah,
If
okay.
it went through TNAC, then, you would just have to fill out the paperwork, send it to the New York Community Trust. They'd do a to and fro with you to make sure everything was okay. And then, the money would just be sent to you in a check.
And the same thing for Sustainable CT, the same deal. They would, they
The
go through
same
the same
deal,
process.
except that you guys don't necessarily require, 35 to 50% matching. You would just take the money without us, without having to do any crowdsourcing, but
I
that's
see what
not
you're
how
saying.
Sustainable Connecticut works.
Okay,
But
It
the line in the budget now is, and I'm trying to remember, but I know that you can't count on labor as part of the match or employee employee benefits or salary or anything like that. But if that 12,000 is strictly going for plant material themselves, mulch, whatever, soil, could it be matched against that?
If, I don't see why not. If Sustainable Trumbull thinks it's okay that the town is involved, I don't know, what the parameters are. If they,
I'm reading about the match funding. We need to have so many people and so much money to match against CT Sustainable Connecticut. We cannot use town funds.
Okay.
that's what I wondered, yeah,
That's separate.
right. So we'd have to do some kind of a community outreach thing.
And their idea behind it is that if there's community outreach, you're going to have community who are then want to be involved and participate within the activity. Therefore, the more community outreach and small donors that you have, the more involvement you have as a grassroots community project.
I love that. I think it's the more people involved, the better.
so if we can get enough people to donate to, let's say, the tree replacement program, if that's what we're going with, then as long as, and I don't know how it works with Sustainable CT, but that would have to, the amount that the New York Community Trust gives would only be matched if there's at least 35 to 50% matched by others. Is that right?
I think they would require,
Crowds.
yeah, they would require that in order for them, for Sustainable Connecticut to release the amount that they would contribute.
Okay.
So we'd have to wait till we had, X $1,000, whether it's the 35% or 50%, and then they
Right.
would,
And then, right, and then the community trust could provide whatever amount beyond that, and you could still get matched by Sustainable CT.
the community trust gives them whatever I tell them to give.
Right.
So whatever that is, Sustainable says, we want 35, we'll go with 35. That's enough for us. So that's the crowdfunding that we have to do. That would be like $3,500. I would think in Trumbull, that's easily doable.
I would hope. I never know.
Oh, yeah, I would hope so too. And then I
All
don't
right.
know how much they give as well. Yeah.
All right. Well, so yeah, if you want to contact Abe,
Yeah.
and if I can help out in any way on that, I'm happy to do so.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, great. Right, and then the last item I have on the agenda is for future meetings, which I guess is kind of up in the air because we don't know yet if we can continue to Zooms. I'm assuming that people want to continue to Zoom, do remote meetings, if we can do them.
My
Yes,
preference
please.
right now is strongly to continue to do remote.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't want to see anybody. However, it does make it convenient to just jump off whatever you're doing at home or whatever, wherever you are, to tune in.
And not get COVID.
Well, I mean, personally feel like it's a little soon. And I know everybody's really anxious to get together and do things. And I've been to a restaurant once this year.
Wow.
It was kind of fun. It was my birthday, but I don't want to be in a meeting room yet.
Yeah, me neither.
So my vote would be to continue Zooming if it's okay. And I'll go with whatever, maybe a hybrid for those who want to get together and then we can Zoom with the rest. No, Bill's saying no, so never mind. That would be my vote.
What does everyone think?
I'm
All
personally for
in
remote.
favor of what Pam, yeah, remote meetings? Yeah, pretty much. I'm good. All right. It makes sense, I think. All right.
Kevin,
Yes.
before we adjourn, can I ask the group one thing, Kevin?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so some of you may know that my daughter's team, the Odyssey of the Mind team, is going the world. So we're heading to Iowa. We're fundraising across town. And so there's a lady in town who owns a I think it's called Norwex. It's like a sustainable cleaning kind of product kind of company. She's offered to do social media outreach and put some kickback, some funding to the team on sales on like a cloth or like a car wash mittens. With Earth Week coming up, it might, jive some people who are into that kind of stuff. And the team would get a kickback. My question to you guys as the sustainable team is, would you be okay if I were to put that out on our Facebook page with that information from her? I don't kind of know the logistics of all that, but I didn't feel like I could do it without asking. So it's like having a Tupperware party online, except for it's like sustainable cleaning products online kind of thing.
You're asking if it would be okay to put it on our Facebook page that we were promoting this one business?
It's promoting sustainable products. Yeah, I guess so.
I think it's tricky. I mean,
I know, that's why I'm asking.
I know the town can't do it, right? Are we the town?
Yeah, the
Are
only
we
when I
are we
did
the
the
town?
senior discount program, the only reason I was really allowed to to promote a business was because I was promoting all the businesses that participated. And even that got a little tricky. I did like a monthly shout out for them, but it is, unless it's going through RENA for economic development for like a ribbon cutting or something like that, they really don't promote. And since we're associated with the town, I think that would be tricky. I don't know if Cindy's on here still. That might be able to.
Yeah, that's why I'm
There she
asking,
is.
'cause I just wasn't sure.
I get it. And I see, here's a local person who has a business and is supporting a local team. But,
Mhm.
it would be kind of like my putting up that my husband composts and why not use his computer service in a way. I don't know. I think it's tough.
That's why I'm asking, because I just wasn't sure if it's a route that could be taken or it just can't be.
I think it's probably best to avoid.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah,
No.
sorry.
That's why I asked the question.
That does
I do
remind
wanna
me though that I forgot to
Good.
donate. So I have to go to your site and do that. I forgot.
That'd be awesome.
Janet's hand is raised.
Oh, sorry, I'm writing minutes, so let me know. Yes, Janet.
Yeah, no, I just had a question about the Trex program.
Yep.
I haven't followed up with Mari or April about whether you've got some more posters or if you've worked something out with the administrative assistant at the senior center. She was wanting a talk in the summer. Is somebody following up with her or what's going on with that? I feel responsible because
So I will be able to. Yeah, so I can answer the poster question. I will be able to reach back out about posters after April 15th. So in a couple of days after this closes, Trex is kind of crazy with getting numbers in right now. And then I can see if they have any leftover posters from
Okay.
this, from what they currently have in stock that they can get us. So as soon as I know the answer to that, I will let you know on the posters.
Okay.
And Mari, I'm not sure if she's still here. She's not. I think she reached back out, but I'll double check with her offline. I know she said that we could definitely do something at the senior center over the summer. We'll have more flexibility with the students. But I will make sure that she touched base with the, if you could just give me the contact
Ashley
name again.
Grace.
Okay,
Yeah, Ashley's the administrative
problem.
assistant.
Right.
Are they thinking about putting
Okay.
a box in the senior center itself versus just in the food pantry?
They wanted another poster.
I have an extra box.
We didn't talk about boxes, but that could be offered. They wanted another poster for the food pantry, and then they wanted a talk.
If they do put it in there, I know they,
Yeah,
since
the
the.
talk-
Oh, go ahead, April.
Yeah, the talk is definitely gonna happen. We'll work on the posters, but I have a bin if they want it, so.
The bus
That's
driver
where we're at.
does go, to Stop and Shop to pick up the donation, so he's there anyway. So it wouldn't be like a hardship to bring more plastic, I would think, but that's, that seems like a great spot. I thought originally they were gonna put it in the senior center, but I know it went to the pantry. And can I divert one thing to you, April, since we're talking senior center? Did you ever hear back about the prescription bottles on an easier, I said, I don't want to give, myself, I'm on 3 prescriptions a day. So like my own bottles, if there's a way that I don't have to load them down with the poor teacher at Hillcrest to get them to the Doctors Without Borders, but.
No, but I will work on that as to Mary. I'll get you some info on that.
Okay.
I'll put it on my list of things.
Because I figured if we did have same thing, a box at the senior center, if there is that type of need to collect them, that's again, one of those that it's like shocking, like Teapot, when we do the give back days of drug take back, and it's the cars just roll by with,
Yeah, no.
Boxes. Awesome. Thank you.
I've just been kind of inundated with this, with the team making the nationals and worlds or whatever, and then I broke my leg. So I'm getting back on the horse. So I will get some answers to some of these questions ASAP. Okay, sorry, guys.
Excellent. Thank you.
No biggie. I'm just collecting them in a bag. It's all good.
All right. Anything else, anybody? Is that it? All right. Well, thanks. Good to see you all. I'll send minutes out soon.
Thank you.
All
And
right.
Bill,
Thanks.
you've got a sickie at home? Oh, I thought I saw the thermometer.
No, he's fine. He's just being emotional.
Oh, I understand that. No. Oh, I forgot we're still taping. Sorry about that.
All right. Thanks,
Goodbye.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.